Thomas Harper, who was drafted by the Den last night. How are you doing, sir? How you feeling today?
Very little sleep. No, feeling good, if not a little bleary-eyed. But yeah, the dust is settling, and now the work begins.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I don't even know where to start except from the beginning, I guess, which happened to be round one, which is the beginning. Now I had tweeted this out, and I had told Frenchie and some others, dude, I had you pegged as a first round, first pick by Kaiser going to the dungeon.
Same here.
I was shocked. I really was. Well, no, I should say I was surprised when he didn't pick you. I was shocked when Kate snagged you. It was a great pick, but I didn't expect that out of her. What were your thoughts? Did you even see that coming? And what were your thoughts when you heard her say your name?
No, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Kaiser to pick me as great as he's been to talk to. And I had the distinct sense that he was going in another direction. I put myself into his shoes as a manager who knows what he knows. And I thought Knopic and Dimolanta were the two that I would go after. Dimolanta made the most sense to me because of the possible points on the board for him. But obviously he chose the former. And with her announcing that she's going to dive into the Star Wars division, I have to suspect that he knew that there was some kind of conversation. And so that, I guess, in his brain elevated her. I've got no problem with that at all. She's got a great track record. She's got a great reputation. She's a phenomenal player. So kudos to him for making a great pick. In fact, I had not talked to Kate or anybody from the Den previously before the draft. And so literally my wife is like going out to grab a drink and she's like, I don't have to, like, how long do I have? And I was like, you got like 15 minutes. Like Kaiser had made his pick. I was unsurprised by what he did. And then she's like halfway out of the room and then my name gets called and she comes running back and like slaps me saying, why didn't you tell me that this was going to happen? I was like, I don't know. So
now, back channels, from what I heard, there was a part of the agreement to sign Dan is to have Mara. That was like part of the agreement. So this was decided a long time ago.
Yeah, well, and no matter what the case is, I think, I'm not a color commentator on all of this, but it makes sense as a pick. I mean, I look at that pick and I don't know that I would have done too many things differently with that number one in from his standpoint.
But I've been really pushing the fact that you should have been first, or it made sense for you to be first because he has such a well-established team. He could, no disrespect, to take a chance, right? Roll the dice is a bit more than try to reconstruct his or construct around his players because he already has the core, right? But it definitely made sense. But man, does it make sense with Den? They got a superstar because again, like I said yesterday, your name keeps on echoing, and she can definitely work with you to be one of the most dominant stars out there.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. The entire team that was put together, I paid very little attention to trying to break down and analyze how managers did, because at the end of the day, my mentality going into this was just give me a chance. I don't care if I'm picked dead last in the last round. As long as I get a spot on a roster and get a match to prove myself, then that's all I can ask for. So I wasn't really interested in how managers do this and that. I've got my own style, and I'm used to doing solitary prep and solitary play in Dragon Con. So getting any kind of management or any kind of teammates is an upgrade, no matter what the team looks like. But to land on a team like that, to watch the comments go from sort of sniping her and second guessing, third guessing her about the trade, to watching that sort of flip. And Christian made this comment last night on his stereo show. It happened on a dime. I mean, I was reading the comments and it was just this seismic shift where people were like, well, maybe the trade did make some sense. And I look at it from like a fantasy football perspective. I'm like, well, the picks are all well and good, but you have to use them well. And I won't say anything about myself, because it's she had her own estimation of me. But in terms of how she used the other picks, I've got a good set of teammates.
Yes. Yeah, if I could jump in real quick. So my comments is with Kaiser not picking on the first round. No disrespect, because I think that you are very strong. Based on how you talked to us that first week, I saw you as like you rang every single bell that I'm looking for. If I was a manager, you would be definitely a first pick in the Star Wars division.
Thanks.
But I think Kaiser learned his lesson from last season, picking almost all rookies in IG. I think he learned his lesson, so he was trying to get more established players, more seasoned players who he can count on and take a risk on maybe other areas. But obviously, I'm very happy that Kate took a chance with you because you definitely rang all the bells for me, and I would have picked you if I was managing a Schmoedown team. So that's just my quick thought.
Thanks. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
And I'm curious. You know, you were the first one in the den, so you saw everything else unfold, right? Is there one person that Kate chose, and you're like, yes, I can work with that person, right?
I'm telling you right now, Lacey, you know, I didn't pay a ton of attention to all the comments and stuff, but what she said in the very first interview that I watched with her, and I echoed this last night, but she said people for her entire life as a female Star Wars fan have underestimated her, have walked into conversations with her, have you know, engaged in trivia against her, thinking and assuming that she just can't know as much for whatever sexist reason there is. And, you know, she comes out and knocks their socks off. So not only does she have that motivation, because there's, I think, probably under the an undercurrent of that sort of thing amongst some folks that are out there watching the draft play out. But she's motivated by that. It lights a fire. And man, she knows her stuff. If you listen to the Resistance broadcast, she's a holocron. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. And I look forward. I tweeted out last night. I was like, one word, dyad. You know, just wait for us to you know, get into a tournament together, and we're gonna do good things. I'm confident in that.
So if you're the dyad with her, who's the emperor, man?
I mean, I guess Damon. He's been sitting on that throne for a long time. He's found a way to cling to power through his own skill. You know, he's got Force lightning. He's got some great dark side talents up his sleeve, but his time has come.
All right. So you can't clone himself anymore.
That's great.
I'm gonna be really honest with you. In some private chats over the last couple weeks, Thomas, I'm sure you are fully aware that I'm very impressed with you. I think you're going to do great things. I'm going to be watching your career very closely. But I got to be honest with you, man. I have been for years, and I'm still rooting for Laura Kelly to take that title from Damon, and I don't care who she has to go through. And I'm also, and that being said, but I'm a Den and a Swag supporter all the way, ride or die with Winston and Kate till the end. But on the Star Wars level, man, Star Wars is a whole other thing. You know what I mean, man? It's like it's one of my loves, as it is yours and so many others. I'm rooting for Laura Kelly, man. But maybe it's not her, but is there anyone specific, obviously, other than Damon, because you want that title? Is there anyone else specifically that you would really love to have a match with and see what you can do?
I'll say this about Damon. I don't want anyone watching or listening to me to get the wrong impression, because there's this sort of notorious track record, I think, where rookies come in, they call out the top dog in the pack, and then they stumble right out of the gates. And it's like, well, you talk this big talk. My statements about Damon are, he's a friend first and foremost. So, and we battle each other year in, year out. So, Damon and the belt are obviously an aspiration, right? But I have them sort of properly in focus. I sort of liken things to like the rifle range in the Army. You've got your 50-meter targets all the way out to your 300-meter targets. Alex and that belt are like a 300-meter target. You're going to get to it eventually, but right now I've got a 50-meter target in front of me, and that's whoever ends up being my first match. And so, in terms of Damon, I see him every year anyhow. So if I don't get the chance, or I don't win and get the chance to face him this year, I see him every Labor Day anyhow. So I get that sort of fulfillment in battling against him. And quite frankly, as the last 6 years have proven, more often than not, it's the two of us out of the final three every single year. So, that much is on the table for me. So my motivation is different from maybe somebody that's targeting an Adam Collins or a Merle or somebody else in another division. As far as other players go, I want to challenge. Like I know that the Dragon Con players and myself included come with a weight on our shoulders. But what I love about the Schmoedown and the Star Wars division in particular is it's so razor thin. A guy like Scrimshaw, whose record is completely not reflective of his skill and talent and just like razor sharp acumen, is just indicative of like how good this division is. On the wrong, I mean, Scrimshaw's losses, it's just a bad stumble. It's not even that he doesn't know it. The loss on the Luke's hatred question, you know, I know if he had maybe another 20 seconds, he would have known that answer. And that's the difference between winning and losing. And this is probably the only division where you can say that there's that sort of razor thin margin at the top. And so, you know, I look forward to the chance, no matter who the competitor is, to play that sort of close game. And it's like a pair in baseball of like dueling ace pitchers. You got to be on your game. If you let one curveball just float up there in the strike zone, you know, rest assured, a guy like Alex, a woman like Laura are going to belt it right out of the park.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, there were a lot of big upsets. There were a lot of big surprises in the draft last night. What was the most surprising to you in the draft for any division?
You know, I was surprised that Riley fell to us. I mean, I don't know. I've got a lot to learn about singles and whatnot, but his name kept coming up. I remember, I kind of looked at sort of all the predictions about how the draft would go. That was just like fun to me to see the order, and it helped me learn players to look up and get a sense of where people thought folks fell, because, you know, lots of times records aren't really reflective like Scrimshaw of their talent level.
Yeah.
But that pick happened, and I saw the reaction, and I just kind of sat back. I told my wife, I was like, this is shaping up to be a really, really good team.
You're muted.
And I'm mute. Yeah, why not? Sorry, the baby was crying in the background. You might actually get this reference, Thomas Harper. For me, Riley is the Mikko Koivu of Schmoedown. He really is the Mikko Koivu. And the Saku Koivu thing, pick one, right? But he definitely is that guy. Like, he's not going to be your head face to score all the points and be the guy that, like a McDavid, right? He ain't no McDavid or Draisaitl. But he is the guy that you build around. He has so much experience everyone runs to, and he needs to be the face of something, because he was a back burner on Finstock Exchange. He's like, oh yeah, he's there, right? But now it's like, no, he's there. And what does the then need? A captain like him, aka the Mikko Koivu Schmoedown.
I tell you, I'm bringing it right back to my fandom, the Hurricanes out of North Carolina. He's the Justin Williams of our team. You know, that Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7. That's all you need to know if you've never watched him play. This is a guy that's a veteran player that came back out of retirement to play for the Hurricanes. He played for the Capitals and won a cup with them. But just this presence in the locker room or in our study sessions that is a deep wealth of game knowledge, and a sort of a leader, both formally and informally, that folks can rally around. I can't ask for somebody better on that team as a rookie coming in having never played a Schmoedown match.
Amen to that, man. You know, we're going to definitely do a Frenchie Talks about NHL, me and you, man. Definitely.
Whereas you said you were surprised about the Yodi pick, I had talked about this last week, and also Frenchie and you're gonna have to remind me, Frenchie. Who was it you were doing stereo with the other night?
Oh, it's it's gonna be potentially one of his competitors, but he's more of an IG. Mr. The Juice and Jacob Whitnaben is definitely someone to look out for. But I love the Juice, his so-and-so manager, helping him to do the studies, and yeah, that's with who I was with.
Yeah, you guys were talking about it. They were talking about it, and I had said then that I thought Yodi. I had no doubt there. I could see that very well. But they were talking about possible teammates for Yodi and team names, and I have to say this here too because I think it's absolutely brilliant. There was a lot of steal this and steal that thrown around for the two, steal bagel, stuff like that, which is cool. But I think that you've got to go with Yodi and Ben Goddard as a team called Boy of Steel. What do you think?
Too soon. He might not get that reference. He might not get that reference though.
Oh, are you an SEN watcher?
Not, I would say in the Star Wars division, yes, but I've only dabbled outside of it. So
all right. All right. Was that too soon, Frenchie?
We'll
I mean, it was
have
like over a year ago, bro.
We'll have Goddard on the show. You'll ask him. If you have
I
the
don't know if Goddard would ever do this show.
if he does, and you have the cojones to ask him, we'll see, my friend.
Dude, I got the balls to ask him if he wants to come on right now. All he's got to do is come on it. And it's not a rude question. It's poking fun, obviously, but yeah, I'll ask him. I'll ask him to his face. I think it's funny.
The only thing I asked for the draft, and I didn't get it, I wanted Video Drew, and I wanted Brother Loomis to be the getter, and have the weirdest team on the planet, and they be named not a cult, because that would just fit.
Wear some white sneakers while they play.
Why not?
Well, speaking like Video Drew, for example, there were a lot of people who didn't go in this draft, like a lot of names that we've been familiar with for quite a few years that weren't drafted. I mean, and not in a prideful kind of a way, Thomas, but I mean, that's got to feel great. You went in the first round when so many established names and people who were admired and looked up to by so many fans, and they weren't even drafted at all. And you went in the first round, man.
Yeah, I will tell you, full honesty, there was almost a little feeling of knee-jerk guilt with it. I mean, it's not my choice where I go. It's it's not anything. And all of these managers, no matter what their level of prep were, whether it's I guess I'm trying to think the page count of Gucci's dossier by the time it seemed like it expanded every 5 minutes. It went from like 200 pages to like
The truth is, Broca clarified it. It's actually a 95, so almost a 1 for every.
I believe that, but I had this sort of pang, especially as it got to the end, and look no further than the third of the Resistance Broadcast Network folks that didn't get picked up. I mean, there were folks that were whether veterans with a fan base, quite frankly, to rookies that I thought were really good that I had been impressed by in terms of watching their interviews that didn't get picked up. And I hope that there's some shuffling. It sounded like last night when they were talking about the first class league that this is going to be like an AHL NHL system where there's like an active two-way system where you can get called up really at any time. In other words, you don't have to wait an entire season and play it out. And I like that. But I felt guilty. I'm like, I'm a rookie. Who am I compared to somebody that has folks that are actively looking forward to watching them in matches every year, regardless of their accuracy rate or win percentage.
Yeah. Is Star Wars the only division that you're interested in, like in the future? Is there any other division that you could see yourself possibly dipping your toes into?
I could see IG. I mean, that's really the only thing I think that's realistic for me. I will say Damon to me is one of the only players that seems to do both well. And I think the difference maker is going to be if Star Wars expands, because all of a sudden I think you're going to see people start to take a second thought about whether to double dip in these two. Alex can continue doing it, no problem. And I would say Marie, Wilson, and Zach can do that as well if they wanted to. But my mentality is not stretching myself too thin. And I genuinely believe that the level of knowledge required to compete and to throw these perfect games that I think are necessary to win and be on top in this league, it's going to be difficult if you've also got to split time and learn. I think the list is like 296 IG movies. I mean, that's insane. Even if the detail level of those questions is maybe a little less than Star Wars, that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah. Frenchie, got anything else you want to in a closing fashion here for our rookie here? Fucking man, like I said, I thought it was going to be first round, first pick, but dude, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, you did even better than that, man.
I think I actually brainwashed you, Jay, into thinking that you think it's from your own thoughts. I just I went over your body when you were sleeping and just like, he's first place. You got
incepted.
Yeah, pretty. Thank you. That's a much more smarter way to say it. You're a much more smart man than I am, Mr. Harper. All right, but yeah, not a question. Just the fact that I cannot wait to see you kick some Star Wars butt, man. I know Star Wars is a whole different division that you kind of have to lose a lot of REM sleep to sacrifice for that headspace to put all that knowledge of Star Wars, my man. So cannot wait to see all those years of passion put in the world of Schmoedown, and man, it's gonna be amazing.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Well, Thomas Harper, everybody, drafted last night by the Den in the first round. Going to be a hell of a ride this year. Thank you very much for your time, not only today, but the last 2 weeks as well. And, of course, I'll be reaching out to you in the future, too, throughout the season. And maybe even not to talk about what you're doing, but get your thoughts on some of the other stuff that's going on, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. You guys have been very gracious. At any time, just reach out.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
Thomas Harper,
guys.
everybody. You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.